This video is brought to you by Patreon provider Carl. So, because I had already filmed an unboxing for the last Credo first focal plane 1-6 that I did, I figured I would just incorporate this in the beginning just to show you there's some slight differences. First off, the box is different. Instead of it being red with a white stripe, it's white with a red stripe. And, well, that's about it as far as the box goes. I had filmed audio over this, and I had a really bad head cold, and I sounded really funny, funnier than I normally sound. So I decided to scrap that audio and just cut to the chase with this as quickly as possible. When Carl first reached out to me and said, hey, I have a Credo HX second focal plane, I want to send it up for review, is that okay? I said yes so fast my thumbs couldn't even keep up. But unfortunately, it was just a little bit too late. I had already sent back the Credo first focal plane, so I couldn't do a direct side-by-side comparison between the two, because that's honestly what this optic's main rival is. But we're going to talk about that more soon. As far as the differences between this and the first focal plane version from an exterior standpoint, it's the box and then it's the finish of the optic. For whatever reason, they decided to go with a little bit more shinier coating on the outside. No idea why, but I actually prefer it because it feels extremely smooth and silky in hand. And as you might see, you can scratch it with your nail and it doesn't really leave a mark. It's so svelte, so nice. Anyway, those are the only differences from an exterior point of view. Everything else is going to be internal through the optic. So without further ado, let's get cracking. I say that already a minute and a half into this video. I wanted to keep it kind of short and sweet because I wanted to do a comparison between this thing with all of its other rivals, but I have a lot of good things to say about it by itself, so let's get cracking. This Credo HX has two main competitors. The first is its twin brother, the first focal plane version, and the other is the Delta Stryker HD, because I think this and the Delta are basically the exact same scope, down to every single nook and cranny. But anyway, as you can see, this is a second focal plane optic, and whereas the first focal plane version of the Credo and or the 1-8 or the AccuPowers that I had reviewed all seem to fail in one regard, this thing absolutely shines, and it shines nice and bright here at maximum illumination. It perplexes me greatly as to why Trijicon hasn't outfitted all of their optics to have this LED technology. It's just fantastic. It's bright, it's sharp, it's clear. Even when you start taking it down the illumination ladder down to its minimum, it's still a very viable option. Way better than what they have with their first focal plane segmented circle like we saw previously on the 1-6 Credo. As for which one's which here, well, I'll let you decide which one's the Credo and which one's the Stryker. All right. So the Credo and the Stryker aren't identical in both regards. Clearly, the Credo on the left was in MOAs, and the Stryker on the right was in mils. But despite that, they have the exact same style turret. I mean, everything. You pull them up, reset to 0, pop them down. The similarities between the two don't end there either. The illumination control, the magnification ring, and the fast focus eyepiece are all basically identical between the two of them. So the DNA between these two is a lot closer than one might think. It's hard to see if I have it perfectly lined up. It does look like it drifted a little bit left. That is 0, so it looks good, at least from my perspective. These turrets are excellent. They feel and sound fantastic. And that is an indicated 0 on the windage, so it looks like it returns, again, like I said from my vantage point, pretty good. So it returns to 0 as well as one could expect for an LPVO. We're going to focus solely on this optic before we start comparing it to anything else. The first thing we have to talk about is that when we transverse the power lines like you see here, it does pull them out of alignment. However, I'm very happy to say that's this optic's weakest link, and it's really not that bad. Now, let's focus on the good. Look at how little of the scope body you see. It's honestly as good as it gets. It's right up there with the Razor HD, the VX6 HD, and yeah, the Stryker HD. The first focal plane version was also pretty good, but another area that this thing absolutely trounces the first focal plane version is edge-to-edge sharpness. The first focal plane, from minimum to maximum magnification, wasn't all that impressive in the corners, whereas this thing is just sharp through and through at basically any distance. At the very top part of the image, through the optic, you can see that 30-yard power line. That tree line's like around 250, 300, and of course that brick building at 400. We have very good, bright, sharp illumination at the center, good clarity overall, very little to no chromatic aberration. The only thing you can see a little bit is at the top of my windowsill there, and that's about it. And it doesn't stop there. This thing is sharp whether you're at a 30-yard power pole like you are right here at 6x magnification, or as you're about to see an 800-yard power tower. This thing just looks fantastic through and through at any distance at any magnification. And that's what sort of confuses me, because how the hell could they make this so good, but yet a first focal plane LPVO like the other Credo so disappointing? And it's not just Trijicon. It seems like it's every optics manufacturer. You can make an excellent second focal plane LPVO, but if you try to make that exact same one a first focal plane, it sort of falls apart. And it's only with LPVOs. Other manufacturers, most manufacturers for that point, can make a medium or high-powered variable optic first focal plane, and it's fine. I mean, granted, within a certain price point, but they're usually way better than their low-power variable optics. No idea why. Now, though I don't include the footage here on these videos, I do live fire test every optic that I get my hands on. I run multiple style drills here at 50 yards, put a couple hundred rounds through them of either 9mm or 22LR, depending on what I can get fairly cheap. And I will say this Credo HX performs a little bit better than most other LPVOs. And I think that's partly due to the fact that this thing is just a very good balanced optic. It just does everything really, really well. And it does it in a way that I particularly like. For example, whenever I look through an optic, the less of the scope body I can see, for whatever reason, the better I can center myself on it. Some people, I know for a fact, it's the opposite. They prefer to have a larger scope body that they can see when they're looking through it to center themselves up on it. For me, I'm the opposite. If I'm shooting with a bad cheek weld or from an awkward position, which I do very regularly, the less of the scope body I can see, the better I am centered on it. Another very important thing for me is when I am shooting with illumination like I am here, when you're off into the shadows, the illumination is still very visible. And on this thing, it is extremely, extremely visible. It's as bright and as sharp all the way to the edge, and it will help pull my eye back to the center. You know what? Enough talking about it. Let me at least show you that in practice. The Eyebox on this thing at 1x is about as good as you could expect from any sort of LPVO at any price point. It's very big, it is very forgiving. The farther back you go, it doesn't really matter, you still have a big enough view through it to get yourself lined up. Off in the shadows, you can still see the illumination nice, bright, sharp, and clear like I had said, and you should be using an LPVO at lower magnifications with both eyes open anyway, so even if you don't have a perfect view through the optic of your target, your brain should superimpose the dot through your other eye. Bringing up the magnification here to 3x, and I can tell you engaging those steel plates at 3x from a low ready position offhand is about as easy as you can get. Overall, the Eyebox performance on this thing is fantastic. It's right up there with the Razor HDE that I reviewed a couple of years ago now, but it's just that good. Albeit, this is still about 2 ounces lighter. This comes in about 19 ounces, and still several $100s less expensive. At 6x, does it really matter what the Eyebox is going to be? You're going to be using it at this magnification. You're going to guarantee have a good cheek weld. You're going to be in a steadier position off a bipod, a bag, a rest, whatever. So it doesn't really matter. But it's still at least average.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Maximum brightness.
As bright as this illumination is, I think the Razor HD Gen 2 and I think the Steiner P4XI edge it out ever so slightly, like a half a shade brighter at the maximum. But I'm perfectly fine with this because this illumination to my eye never really got out of hand as far as starbursting went. It always looked pretty sharp and very focused. And that's all I want, and I think that's all most of us really need. Daytime bright illumination and a sharp, focused dot. Pew! 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 As good as the best LPVOs are, at really close distances like this, you are going to have some magnification and distortion to the image. It's just the way it is. Now, some will argue, if you're that close, you're not even looking through it. Okay, that's neither here nor there. That's a matter of personal preference. But there's always going to be some sort of distortion. That's why things like red dots, reflexes, and holographic sights are as loved as they are for really close work. Because there should be at least none of that. Pew! Pew! Yeah, I was filming this around Christmas. It's been a while. My bad. This thing is pretty freaking awesome. But I did say earlier that I think it shares a lot of DNA with the Delta Stryker HD. And I had very similar experiences with both of them. When I first got my hands on the Delta, it felt way better than it should have been for the price. When I got that, I think they were around mid to high sixes, low sevens. And you can still find them for about that price, but they've gone up quite a bit. And by mean quite a bit, I've seen them in the eights. And that's where you can get one of these for. So how different are they? Well, unfortunately, this is as good as I can do. Side by side here at two very totally different times throughout the year from two different vantage points at the same range. One day I would love to have one of everything in stock so this way I can pull it off the shelf and use it as a comparison. Unfortunately, this is as good as it's going to get. On the right, with the Delta Stryker HD, you can clearly see it is summertime. It's also significantly brighter than when it was when I filmed the Credo HX. Basically dead of winter and like around 2 p.m. when it's basically already the sun's gone down. Anyway, a couple things we can easily take note of is just how much of the scope body you can see. They are, for lack of a better term, identical. As far as the view through it, the overall field of view is basically identical. The only thing that's a little bit different is the illumination on the Credo looks to be a little bit more pronounced. Now, I do replace the batteries on every optic before I review it to give it the full potential of what you can expect from a given scope at a given time. I very vividly remember that the Stryker had very good illumination, but I have to give it to the Credo HX. It seems to be one shade brighter. I don't know if that's something that Trijicon had spec'd out from the Japanese manufacturer or not, but it is definitely noticeable. What isn't as noticeable, though, is a difference in image quality. They're both really, really good, but to my eye, the Credo just seems that touch sharper. But I have mastered my craft a little bit more over the last couple of years, or at least since when I filmed the Stryker HD, so it could just be down to my overall setup being just a little bit more polished. Either which way, if you were deciding between these two optics, you're really splitting hairs. I would go with the cheapest of the two, whichever one it would be, honestly. It'll come down to three things. Which reticles do you like? What name do you prefer? And how much you're looking to spend. Answer those three, and you can pick out a winner. Either which way that you decide to go, you're getting very high quality levels of LPVO performance for intermediate money. Under $1,000 for something like this that's made in Japan and works this well and looks this good is very, very impressive, especially for the weight. And if you are worried about the weight, I think the Credo is about an ounce heavier, so there's that. Another question you guys might be asking is one of these and the P4XI. Well, if the P4XI was around $500 like how it should be, I'd probably still go for that. But with these being as good as they are and as cheap as they are, oh man, that's a really hard decision. I'd probably go with one of these. If you're wondering where the half-life edit is, it's going to be at the very end in a different location, just to change it up a little bit. You got to keep these things fresh. This is an excellent, excellent scope. For the money, it really does everything it needs to do, or says it's going to do, with ease. This, the P4XI, or the Delta, I've beaten that within an inch of its life. You got to figure that out for yourself. Either which way, you'll be happy with the result. This or the first focal plane. This, hands down. I don't see a reason or a need to have a 1-6 first focal plane. For many of you out there, you have a need, you have a reason, and I understand that.
Pew pew.
But I think you're looking a little bit too far into the minutia of things. I think you'd be better off with a 1-8 or even a 2-10.
Pew pew.
And really benefit from the extra magnification, first focal plane at that point, and then you're more in the MPVO sort of realm as opposed to the LPVO. I think it's a much better fit.
Pew pew.
Now, if you are still interested in a first focal plane 1-6, I've got a couple of them coming down the pipeline very, very soon, so stay tuned for that. As for this thing, though,
Pew pew.
I'm very, very excited for it, and I'm super grateful that Carl H. was nice enough to send it in for review. There are very few optics that people send me for review that I don't want to send back. This was one of them. But Carl asked really nicely, and I had to send it back. I had to. He's a really nice guy. But it's great to know that these are readily available and under $900.
Pew.
And on that note, Carl, thank you so much for sending this in for review. It's been an absolute pleasure working with this thing. And for all of you out there, thank you very much for watching. But your Half-Life little segment is coming up right now, so please enjoy.
Yeah, let's go. Here's something. Oh, what's that stench? I have a bad feeling about this. This place is a lot bigger than I thought. How's this? Die, you bloodsucker! Got one!
And a very huge thank you to all of my Patreon providers. Without you, this wouldn't be possible. If you'd like to help support the channel but don't want to join my Patreon, I completely understand. But you can still help support by using my affiliate links in the description below. Thanks again for watching.